Ladies and gentlemen, in a surprising turn of events, Mr. Beast Jimmy Donaldson looks to be getting sued by some contestants of the Beast Games. And before we dive into that, let's take a look at this new Rolling Stone article. A Firefest feeling inside the chaos of Mr. Beast's new reality show. Beast Games is set to be the largest reality show in history, but as one crew member said, echoing several sources, there's a reason why this level of production hasn't been attempted before. This is by Stephen Asarch from yesterday on the Rolling Stone. It's going to be linked below so you can follow along now. This article kind of goes into who Mr. Beast is, who Jimmy Donaldson is, and why the Beast Games is so important. It sets a precedent with $5 million cash prize, 2,000 contestants, and it goes into a lot of the things that we've already kind of covered on this channel. Lots of YouTubers have already kind of looked into all of this stuff, Rosanna Pansino being one, Quinn Theo being another person. So go check those creators out if you want to know a little bit more about it. I've also covered all that stuff. Now, if we scroll down just a little bit, it just kind of goes into all of that. Something that's really important to me is this part where it says internal documents, NDAs, call sheets, and set photos obtained by the Rolling Stone from crew members who worked on the Toronto leg of the event describe a potentially unsafe work environment that was disorganized, wild, and staffed with a crew with little experience on a project of this scale. Now, this directly leads into the second article from Variety. Mr. Beast Amazon sued by contestants on Beast Games competition show with allegations including sexual harassment and chronic mistreatment. This one's by Todd Spangler on Variety from today. Now, back to the Rolling Stone article, we can scroll down just a little bit and get to this part that says, as for the chaos of the competition, which led to 6 hospitalizations, both contestants acknowledged that the production was put in a bad position when trying to bring Donaldson's vision to life. One contestant who made it through the round to Toronto tells Rolling Stone that they slept on the ground of the stadium and were confined to their hotel rooms, none of which they were warned of beforehand. They were in over their heads and they didn't know what to do, Leopold says. Like, people were just doing things they couldn't control. Now, Leopold is one person that was in the Beast Game situation. Scott Leopold, an Austin-based actor. Again, everything is going to be linked so you can go read a bit more of the context. But he pretty much confirms a lot of the things we already knew about the Beast Games involving the inclement weather, the terrible conditions. Again, leading to the lawsuit that we're going to be taking a look in just a few minutes. Now, we also get this interesting point right here that says, in Toronto, contestants tell Rolling Stone their conditions improved immensely. One contestant in their early 20s, who was in both Vegas and Toronto, tells Rolling Stone that it was a much better experience. I think they learned from the mishaps and mistakes they made their first time around. Now, that's very possible, but it could be the fact that, they're seeing all of the ramblings online. We can scroll a little bit more, and it says 2 contestants in the chat claim to be bruised and have muscle tears from falling through a trapdoor after elimination. One contestant says that everything seemed to be more in order, but they did suffer minor injuries to their head and groin after the trapdoor unexpectedly opened. I was able to come back in the games, but I was hurting badly. They say I wanted to win money, so I did my best to stay in, lying to the medics that I was fine. Now, we already know there are people out there who are going to look at this and say, well, you didn't have to do it, right? You didn't have to join this game if you didn't want to deal with all this blah, 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 blah. I get it. And then this person also said they were fine. So truly nothing bad was like on the MrBeast staffing part. But again, having a trapdoor, something just completely flub and possibly hurt someone. Of course, someone who wants money is going to lie and say that they're doing fine. I think for precaution, you should still take them to some type of medical staff and say, just look at them just in case, right? So I guess that didn't happen. It says they added there were very few injuries relative to the people that went through it, which is pretty good, I guess, from a safety metric. Now, this part right here, this leg of Beast Games was a non-union production, which is unusual for a reality show. According to YouTuber Rosanna Pansino, in a TikTok video, the film and TV production crew, Union IATSE, deemed the show an unfair production, and its union members would not be allowed to work there. We looked at this as well in another video where this union letter, an email was sent out to everyone involved saying, you can't be in Beast Games if you're a part of this union because it's completely, unsafe. It's not a professional work environment that we want people in our union to represent. And here we have another crew member who talks about the unsafe work conditions, including adequate food. One who left the Toronto production early says they received a single scoop of rice on their 15-minute break over a 16-hour shift. Again, this is absolutely absurd from a company such as Amazon or the MrBeast production team. But then shortly we have this one that says a source close to production denied there is a shortage of food, calling it BS, saying there are craft services available constantly, way more than even necessary to ensure that everyone was fed properly. So we have like conflicting sources. Again, we'll never really know until a lot of people are willing to, violate their NDAs, if there's some photos, if Jimmy is able to speak about it, if anyone is able to prove it with some sort of images or showcase exactly what these people were offered and given. I guess we'll have to wait until Beast Games actually airs before we know what's the truth and what's not. And then we can go a little bit more. When temperatures hit upward of 90 degrees, 2 crew members tell Rolling Stone production members in the hangar they worked in turned off air conditioning and fans during certain challenges because they didn't want to interfere with the atmosphere, and conditions were not ideal. They are so disorganized, they keep people running around the clock. So yeah, when it was 90 degrees, they were like, you know what, let's cut the AC off because it doesn't mess with the vibe. You know what I mean? It's not the atmosphere we want. We don't want people's hair blowing in the wind. We'd rather them be burning and hot and sweaty. Awesome. Now, this is a part that really grinds my gears, an extremely dangerous thing. On August 17th, Toronto experienced a large storm and record-breaking rainfall that flooded the set. They stopped actively filming for 36 hours, but says one production assistant workers were told to keep working with piles of electrical equipment literally submerged underwater. They were squeegeeing hangers and trying to keep the water away from equipment. The work definitely didn't stop when the rain was on. The PA says it was flooding from the floor up and from the ceiling down. Another PA says about one of the hangars, we were bagging up electrical equipment, but it didn't matter. It was pouring in everywhere. I'm sure we've all seen movies, TVs, video games. The electricity touches the water, it goes zap, right? And if you're inside the water, you also go zap. You can clearly see where the unsafe work condition comes from in this predicament. One picture reviewed by Rolling Stone. So there are photos out there that one day hopefully we will see, but Rolling Stone reviewed it, says shows a collection of plugged-in cables submerged underwater. Another showed a young man in one of the production facilities holding cables above his head while standing in at least an inch of water. According to the CalArts School of Film and Video, using electricity of any kind in wet weather conditions is very dangerous and should not be done. Perfectly said. Even if it's like something as like storming or like thundering, it's kind of like important to not, be in your devices, be in your outlets, things that can shock or explode or, cause some type of power surge, because you could be affected by it. It's very dangerous to be around things like that. Be around things like loose cables, loose wiring, things like that. And you especially don't want that to be near water. Now we get to look into the NDA. Now you might be wondering, why are people not breaking the NDA? There are some people who don't know what's legal to break when it comes to an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Basically, you sign a paperwork saying if you break the NDA, if you do disclose something, we can sue you and we are entitled to this amount of money and blah, 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 blah. Whatever else they put in the NDA, right? Everyone who participated or worked on MrBeast Games signed an NDA. On September 5th, the Beast Games production office sent out an email to crew members reminding them that any violations of the confidentiality policy contained in your deal memos will be strictly enforced. Rollingstone viewed the NDA from a competitor as well as a crew member. Dr. Julie McFarlane, a law professor at the University of Windsor in Ontario and co-founder of Can't Buy My Silence, a campaign rallying against NDA abuse, says it is extremely broad but not untypical. And we've already seen this kind of from, a lot of the NDAs that have been kind of passed around relating to the Beast Game stuff, the MrBeast company. They're extremely broad, and basically it's like, you can't talk about our company ever again, or we can sue you for blah 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 blah. Very broad, which means you can do something and not even realize you basically violated your NDA, which is why a lot of people that are coming out about things like Dogpack and Jake Weddle, very careful with what they can say. And some people describe it as them like hiding things, not revealing everything. And it's for a specific purpose, because you don't want to be sued for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for accidentally saying something. Now, the NDA says if a competitor divulges any confidential information, again, very broad, what does that even mean? Before the last episode airs, they agree to pay $500,000 as well as any earnings. So if they win the game and then talk about what happened, they have to pay $500,000 as well as the winnings of the game, the $5 million. After airing, the fee is lowered to $100,000. So even in 10 years from now, I'm guessing, if someone were to violate their NDA or like talk about the mistreatment on set or something horrible that they had to go through, they are eligible or they are liable to pay $100,000 for violating that NDA, which is just absolutely absurd. One crew member NDA Rollingstone viewed says the recipient waives any right to seek or obtain injunctive or other equitable relief against producer or any project, and that they can't talk about confidential information for 3 years. Okay, so I exaggerate a little bit. It's not 10 years, it's 3 years. So they can't talk about Beast Games for 3 years. So if it finishes shooting and everything's good and it airs in 2025, they can't talk about anything that happened until 2028, which is still just kind of wacky. And basically that is the Rolling Stone article. Again, I skipped through a lot of things. I skimmed over certain things, but that's kind of the big takeaways. Again, NDAs. Lots of people don't have phones and access to devices, and they're scared. A lot of people don't have $500,000 to be sued for if they were to violate said NDA. So again, this is going to be linked below. Go check it out yourself, please. Read into it. Don't just mindlessly believe and agree with everything I say. I'm doing research, and I want you to as well. So now we can hop on over to the Variety article. Again, this one's also going to be linked down below. Please check it out in case I skip over anything or skim over any important details. Look at it, please. Lawsuit on behalf of 5 unnamed participants seek class action status by Todd Spangler. A class action lawsuit against YouTuber star MrBeast and Amazon has been filed on behalf of 5 unnamed contestants in the MrBeast Games reality competition show, alleging they were subjected to chronic mistreatment, sexual harassment, and more. Now, I can't speak on the sexual harassment part, but the chronic mistreatment obviously makes a lot of sense from what we've been covering in the past 2 months. The complaint was filed Monday, September 16th in Los Angeles Superior Court. The lawsuit alleges multiple causes of action related to the chronic mistreatment and neglect suffered by participants in Beast Games, a reality competition, blah, 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 for a single $5 million cash prize. The suit claims Beast Games has a $100 million budget. A redacted copy of the complaint is available at this link. And as we can see, here is the redacted article. We can see all the details up here again. Please check it out. This is 54 pages long. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to read all 54, considering it's also redacted as well, so certain information will be blurred and edited out. But we can see that some of the complaints are for the failure to pay a minimum wage, liquidated damages for failure to pay a minimum wage, failure to pay overtime, sexual harassment, failure to prevent harassment, negligent infliction of emotional distress, failure to provide uninterrupted meal breaks, failure to provide uninterrupted rest breaks, failure to pay wages promptly upon termination, failure to provide accurate and itemized wage statements, failure to indemnify for employee expenses and losses in discharging duties, unfair business practices, false advertising, and declaratory relief. Now, None of these sound entirely false from every single thing we've been hearing. Again, this is going to be a trial. It's a lawsuit that's going to probably go on for quite some time. Again, look into this 54-page class action complaint if you really want to learn every single intricate detail. Now, a part in this document that I really wanted to look into is on page 21. Again, follow along with me if you would like. Defendants failed to provide a safe and healthful place of employment to the particular and collective detriment of the female contestants who suffered sexual harassment. Now, we already know about the gender dynamics. There were obviously stronger men in the competition, and then there were weaker women in the competition, which created like this Hunger Games-esque, fight for survival. Obviously, the stronger men are going to win in the physical strength demanding activities. But then we also had the things related to like the female contestants not being given feminine products, like their pads and whatnot, and the whole panty snatching allegations, which were really interesting. I'm sure the men contestants also had their panties taken away, their underwear, undergarments, whatever the case may be. But now we also have this section of the 54-page document that says production defendants additionally created a toxic and hostile work environment for, in particular, the female contestants who suffered blank, as well as sexual harassment throughout the production, as more fully detailed below, which was not only noticed but allowed and even blanked by the production defendants. Blank, 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 and apparently this was allowed because of marching orders from the top. Reported How to Succeed in MrBeast Production Handbook states that it's okay for the boys to be childish, and if talent wants to draw a dick on the whiteboard in the video or do something stupid, let them. Really do everything you can to empower the boys when filming and help them make content. Help them be idiots. And that's why it's very important to be very mindful of what you include and give out to people as some sort of like handbook or guidebook or work related materials, because then it can be used in this sense, right? So the things that MrBeast might have put into his friendly little goofy guidebook to hand out to new employees is now being used against him to basically say that they've allegedly encouraged sexual harassment towards female contestants. We all know all these different allegations and videos going around about Jimmy saying some pretty, sexist comments, whether they be jokes, whether they be statements talking about how he doesn't get along with women.
I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women.
Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men.
He doesn't really like women, things like that. Again, all allegations, all videos all over the internet, nothing I'm putting in his mouth. Now, a document that appears to be a MrBeast employee handbook written in the first person from what appears to be Mr. Donaldson's perspective, titled How to Succeed in MrBeast Production. The MrBeast handbook was published on the internet on August 13th, 2024 by YouTube creator Rosanna Pansino, who alleges she received it and confirmed its authenticity with 2 MrBeast employees. Now, if you weren't following along when all that happened, Rosanna posted this on some website and it ended up getting deleted. Nobody knows what happened. Maybe it got a copyright strike or some type of claim. It got deleted. She had to upload it somewhere else. And luckily now people have made plenty of re-uploads and backups, so it's all over the internet now. But we can confirm that Dogpack, in fact, had this same guidebook because he included it in his second video related to MrBeast. Now, if we scroll down a little bit more, it's kind of hard to read because everything is redacted, unfortunately, which is why, again, we'll have to wait for more of this to become like official public information. But we can kind of like try to fill in the blanks here. It says the apparent MrBeast ethos of helping the boys be idiots seemed to pave the way for production staff to allow blank, 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 blank. And I'm going to make a dumb assessment. I'm a dumb guy, right? I'm going to assume it says like, it seemed to pave the way for production staff to allow the male contestants or the male staff to, I guess, use their strength, use their power against the female contestants, blah, blah, blah. Not saying any sort of like abuse happened. I'm just saying in terms of a power dynamic between two different sexes. I'm going to assume it says something like that. Again, everything is so censored, it's extremely difficult to make any type of real statement regarding what I'm reading. Additionally, defendants knew or should have known blank because its own employee handbook, as detailed above, laid the groundwork for this collective sexual harassment and sexual harassment against female employees. And then see, like, this whole entire thing is redacted, which really sucks because this would have been like our first-hand experience on seeing what's happening in the Beast games, and it's all completely blurred out, which just really sucks because we're gonna have to wait for it to eventually go to court and this to be released publicly, kind of like what's happening right now with P. Diddy. Now, back to the Variety article, we can kind of see a summary of what exactly is explained in that document. It says, according to the lawsuit, Amazon's MrBeast Productions company, an independent production firm, Off One's Base LLC, among other things, failed to pay a minimum wage and overtime, failed to prevent sexual harassment, created conditions that subjected contestants to infliction of emotional distress, did not provide participants uninterrupted meal breaks or rest breaks, and exposed contestants to dangerous circumstances and conditions as a condition of their employment. And that's pretty serious stuff, pretty wacky stuff. This is the kind of things that you would see in like a guidebook of like working at a freaking Walmart or a Target. Something as simple as a meal break or a 30-minute break, a 15-minute break, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of things are complete serious legal issues that MrBeast and Amazon are, again, they dig themselves into a bit of a hole with this. It's not some little YouTube channel where you can, you know, make mistakes and try to pay people off and fix it and say, well, you signed an NDA, so you can't punish me now, blah, blah, blah. This was a serious production, basically a company such as Amazon representing what MrBeast was doing, and this is all not a good look whatsoever. Again, everything's linked below. I'm a stupid guy who does commentary, who reads things and tells you guys about things. So I'm not saying everything I'm saying is 100% true, accurate, factual. I'm just giving you my, logic on all of this happening and trying to piece together the puzzle pieces and let you know about the serious things that's happening involving MrBeast. As always, I encourage you to check the description, check the sources, let me know what I got wrong, let me know what you agree with. And most importantly, please like, subscribe, share the video. Let your mama know, let your cousin and her toddler know about what the heck is going on with the MrBeast stuff, because it's serious, it's bad, it's over. He's hooked. See you guys around. I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out, my friends. Check the documents, check the articles. Bye.